Chris Gleeson, adjacent to the scales, but the now familiar ritual.
Correct weight?
Weight being declared correct, thanks to Maggie after the running of the Qantas Wakeful Stakes. Race 5, terrific performance by that filly, My Sienna. Hopefully she will go onto the Oaks now. Forest Express running into second placing, and third was Dan Glisser with weight there. Here are the official dividends as the happy connections celebrate, Dan.
Certainly do. Number 4, My Sienna, Greg Hall, $12.30 and $3.60. 8 Forest Express, $5.50. Good run. Shane Dice had placings in 4 of today's 5 races without breaking through yet. 1 Dan Glisser, third, $1.60. Quinella paid $104.20. Trifecta, $729, and the race-to-race double paid $58.90. Goss, My Sienna, double figure odds. Bookies rubbing their hands with glee. Shogun Lodge, though, Dye, as I said before, has ridden 4 place getters from 5 races today. He's just about ready to break through.
Well, that's what they're saying, and it's almost Shogun Lodge and Blackfriars have probably opened up equal favourites in the bookmakers' ring. Shogun Lodge has probably been the best back horse throughout the morning and the early afternoon. In that last race, bookmakers are smiling because the Golden Dame was heavily backed, and so too was Dan Glisser late. But they got money, the bookies, and they're prepared once again to take on Shane Dye.
Well, they might do so to their peril. There's the winner, My Sienna, after the Qantas Wakeful. Shane Dye rides Shogun Lodge coming up in the big one, the Amy Victoria Derby, as we take a look at those dividends. My Sienna, $12.30 and $3.60. She was big odds. Forest Express, $5.50 and Dan Glisser, $1.60. They are the Super Tab win and place totes. Trifecta, $7.29, Quinella, $104, and the race-to-race double, $58.90. We might have a look at the tote figures for the upcoming race, the big one, Jen. And I think Shogun Lodge has been the favourite all the way through the betting, just in front of Blackfriars. We'll see if that has been maintained as this massive crowd begins to throng around the mounting yard here at Flemington. What do you like in the Derby?
I'm going to go with George Hanlon, trained number 3, Diatribe. I thought his win 3 starts ago when he came from last and won at Moonee Valley was excellent. George elected to put on a crossover noseband. He did a lot wrong at Caulfield, took it off, and then absolutely bolted in at Moonee Valley. I thought that was a great effort. From number 4, Blackfriars, and number 6, Chief Scout.
So the main chances there on page 1, Shogun Lodge at $3.60, Diatribe $5.70, Jen's tip, Blackfriars $4.90, Liberty Hall $8.50, and Cloth of Gold $7.70. And over the page, they are roughies. Campamanis is still holding his place at $31. I spoke to Bart Cummings before about the pronunciation of this horse. It is Campamanis, and Campamanis was a champion Spanish chess player, so that's how he got his name. So it's Diatribe from Jen and Richard, Liberty Hall from Letsy. I've gone for the class. I thought Shogun Lodge, so has Danny, and Blackfriars from Gary Willits. So we've got 4 different selections there. It is a very open Amy Victoria Derby, and it is race number 6 on the card. A Group 1 race. We've got 3 Group 1s coming up, and many of the horses are preparing. Troubadour, trained by Rick Hall-Lacey, winner of the Geelong Derby trial, where he just nosed out Campamanis after a beautiful run. And Troubadour getting set for the biggest assignment of his racing life. Let's go to the presentation now after the running of race 5. Here's the Regional General Manager of Qantas for Victoria, Mr. Stephen Thompson.
Mr. Burke, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Qantas Airways, may I say how delighted we are to once again be involved in sponsoring the Qantas Wakeful Stakes. Our sponsorship of the Wakeful Stakes continues a long and happy association between Qantas and the VRC. Each year at Qantas, we bring in many people from around Australia and indeed overseas for this magnificent carnival, and this year has certainly been no exception. Last year, the Spring Racing Carnival coincided with our new services to Buenos Aires and Paris, and this year I'm particularly delighted for the Melbourne public that it coincides with the commencement of our new non-stop services between Melbourne and Los Angeles, with a one-stop connection to New York, as well as 3 additional services between Melbourne, Singapore and London. However, today it's my pleasure on behalf of the airline to congratulate everyone in connection with My Sienna, and in particular the owner, Mr. Stuart Ellis, on winning that magnificent race. Thank you.
And well done to the connections there after My Sienna's victory in the Qantas Wakeful Stakes. Just a couple of pieces of news from down here in the mounting yard, especially leading towards the Foster's Melbourne Cup on Tuesday. Graham Rogerson has said that Sea Squill is unlikely to take its place in the race and will probably be reserved for the Queen Elizabeth Stakes here on Saturday. Cliff Brown has said that Cheviot won't go on for the Melbourne Cup. Now that is good news for John Sadler, because it looks as though his horse Bohemian will go up into the Melbourne Cup field, and of course My Warrior by winning the Saab quality, has also gone up into the Melbourne Cup field. But another piece of news which is pretty significant. We saw on the replay of the first race that there was some interference round about the 300-metre mark involving Chattanooga and Tarumba. Well, the two riders involved, Jim Cassidy and Danny Nikolic, have been asked to attend an inquiry a little bit later on, and they will be sweating on the outcome of that. That was from interference in the first race on the card. OK, let's check the dividends for the first 4 races. If you happen just to be joining us on our coverage of AAMI Victoria Derby Day, Over won the first. Terrific effort, a wide gate, a big weight, and it won convincingly. 11, 10 and 360, defeating Trousers and Poking Around, the big trifecta, $7,700 to kick off the card. Second race on the program, and we saw a horse come to the races for the 7th time and win for the 7th time. The Flying Queenslander Falvalon, $1.80 and $1.10, defeating Cullen and Fabiano's Son, and the Quinella paying $9.10 on race 2. Third race on the program, and victory here went to the Warrior, and into the Foster's Melbourne Cup he will go. $16.40 and $4.10. Outstaying Rosa War $1.60, Sea Squill $2.60, and the Quinella $27.60. And then in the fourth event, it was victory to Noir Sear. Last turning for home, first at the winning post, 5.30 and 2.30 from Vale, 25.60, Our Errand 4.10, and a big trifecta, $6,096.10. And of course, you've just had the result of race 5, the Qantas Wakeful Stakes. So now we're all set up for the big one. Not too far to go as we look at the watch now, coming up to 2:22, so around about 23 minutes before the start of the AAMI Victoria Derby, the principal race here at Flemington. In the meantime, let's go back to the marquee and Sandra Sully.
Thanks, Peter. Yes, joining me now on the marquee is really my favourite panellist, Kate Langbroek. Welcome.
Thank you. You'd say that to anyone, wouldn't you, who is standing here? You're very charming.
Well, I think you're very brave. You know, every week you sit there with a group of guys and you test out your skills, your mental skills, your gymnastics, and, you know, you beat them often, and you joust as well as all of them. And I think as another woman, I'm really proud that you're up there and you're doing a great job.
Well, I wish I was half as successful as you think I am at betting on the horses, which I have not been to date. I wish I was, but I'm not.
Oh, you've come to the interview a little light on in the pocket.
I tried to. You know when you try and get out? I tried to get out on the 4th race, and now I'm so far down. The reason I'm dressed like this is I have lost my shirt. I'm so gone.
Now, you look gorgeous, and a lot of women like you today are ditching the hats and going with beautiful flowers.
They on the ats, hey. I know, just, you know, something easy, I guess.
And really feminine and pretty. Now, what about the Derby? It's coming up. What's your tip?
Shogun Lodge with Shane Dye. Skitch him up, Shaney. I'm counting on you, Shane.
Look, Kate, thanks for joining us. And we should mention the panel's on the move, on their way to Sydney in the next couple of weeks.
Apparently so, although it's a logistical nightmare, like Madonna's tour. You know, 48 lorries, we're on our way.
We're looking forward to having you coming all the way up north. But nevertheless, enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck in the next race. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work on the panel.
Okay,
You've got a big fan here.
Thank you.
All right, time now to hand over to Tim Webster in the studio for the rest of the afternoon. Good afternoon, Tim.
Afternoon, Sandra. Take a break, have half a glass of bubbles. You've earned it. Sandra Sully in the marquee, where she'll stay for the rest of the afternoon. And good afternoon to you around Australia, and indeed all of our millions of viewers through North America on cable television. It's lovely to have you with us. Now, don't forget our Maggie Roach of the Century, which isn't for our American viewers, unfortunately, just for viewers in Australia. There's the phone number to call, 1902 555 616, and you could win a trip for 2 to the Kentucky Derby in the United States, and our viewers in the States will just have to make their own way there. Coming up very shortly, we'll have a chat to the General Manager of Racing Victoria, Greg Nichols, and of course, the big one is coming up, the AAMI Victoria Derby, 2,500 metres for very fit 3-year-olds. It is a classic. Here's last year's race.
Left the fence at the 350. Sky Heights goes through on the inside of it. Arena running on, then came out wide, Runaway and Wellington and Lawyer. Mossman in front, Arena after it. Wider out, Lawyer and Runaway. Arena goes to Mossman, Sky Heights, Lawyer, and further out, Runaway. Arena hit the lead on the Derby. It's drawn away from Lawyer, Sky Heights, and Arena's coming away. Arena wins the Derby by 2.5 lengths. Sky Heights has run second.
Welcome to the Melbourne Cup at fabulous Flemington and the end of a century of magic moments. It has become more than the race that stops the nation. It stops our hearts as well. From the adrenaline rush rush through our veins as the gates fly open, to the thunder of the home straight and the twinkle in our eyes as history is made before. It's a sense of pride, of being there. It's a breathtaking 3-minute ride of emotions that will end in either agony or ecstasy, but will always be worth the price of the journey.
Mighty Power, the leader. Doremus is coming at him. Doremus after Mighty Power. Mighty Power and Doremus, they hit it. Oh!
From modern-day marvels to a bolt of lightning that became a national hero, the quest for the Golden Chalice begins today. Welcome to Derby Day, the greatest day of racing on the Australian turf calendar. A day when the champions of the future take their first steps towards immortality. And the dreams of racing's elite will be unfolded for all to see.
Arena hit the lead in the Derby. It's drawn away from Lawyer. Sky Heights and Arena's coming away. Arena wins the Derby by 2.5 lengths.
The excitement, the colour, the passion. From the marquees to the mounting yard, this is Australian racing at its finest. Welcome to the 1999 Melbourne Cup Carnival, live and exclusive to Network 10.
Away they go. The gates have crashed back and the big one is underway. As they come down the straight the first time. It's going up on the outside. We've got 2,000 metres left to travel. It's a fight over the Melbourne Cup.
Yes, the champagne flows, and it's champagne racing here today. 1999 Amy Victoria Derby Day, and the weather's gone away. It's quite a beautiful day up there now, actually. And as I say, the champagne flows. The roses have never looked any better. I ran into Sub-Zero down there a little while ago, and he's eating them as usual. He loves the roses. And a big crowd in. We'll find out just how many a little later on in the day for Derby Day of 1999, and that pretty much looks like the typical picture during Melbourne Cup week here in Flemington in Melbourne. And I have with me the General Manager of Racing Victoria, Greg Nichols. Welcome.
Thanks very much, Tim.
Disappointing. Kaif Tara and Amarique had to be pulled out of the race, but hey, that's racing.
Most definitely is. Kaif Tara was the one horse that we set our sights on early in the year. Performed creditably right throughout the European summer. But we got him here, just couldn't get the next week. But nevertheless, and Amarique similarly, American horse, haven't had that before. Just a touch of novelty about it. Yeah, missed out. Well, it just makes us more determined next year, Tim.
Considering the amount of work that you would have personally put in to get Kaif Tara here in particular, it must be a bit disappointing for you.
Oh, it definitely is, but I always look on the bright side, that one door closes, others open. We've still got a great race. We've got Tyler Knott, we've got Sky Heights, and we've got a couple of nice European horses, Travel Mate, Yovanas Pace, and Maradpour. I wouldn't dismiss his chances on Tuesday, and I think they'll make it a very competitive race. Kaif Tara would have been the icing on the cake. He's a European champion, but nevertheless, we've got the Australian champions, and that's what we're looking for.
I've been reading and hearing a few of the things you've said in recent times, and viewed, I guess, a little controversially in Sydney, the comments you made about the Golden Slipper, or two-year-old racing, I think is what you're talking about. We haven't got time to discuss them all, but the idea of moving the Derby and shortening it has been floated for a couple of years, particularly by some trainers.
Yes, the Victorian Racing Club have also considered it. It's, I think that one thing you can say about the VRC, it's the most innovative body of thoroughbred racing in the Southern Hemisphere. And I just don't think it rests on your laurels. They've looked at it previously, and as per every year, Tim, you analyse your strengths, your weaknesses after each carnival, and I dare say the club will do that again this year.
Of the things that you've said, and I heard you on the radio say you're pretty much putting them forward just for comment, just to put them in the barrel and roll it around and see what comes out.
I think so. I tend to believe that Racing Administration has possibly been a tad conservative in the way that we've tackled issues previously. And I think that the more open and vigorous the debate can be, I think that we find the right answer. And I hope that what I said the other day does instigate a vigorous sort of debate. But it wasn't a shellacking of two-year-old racing. It wasn't meant that. But I felt that in Australia. We've got one true international race. We're building on that. This year we've got the Cox Plate has made steps towards greatness as an international race. The Caulfield Cup, of course, last year being an international race, and to do that, because of the disparity in the breeding seasons, the Northern Hemisphere horses can't compete now, 2- and 3-year-old racing.
Yeah.
So the open age racing is where we've got to develop our international perspective.
Sure, they're winding me up, but for our international viewers who don't know this fella, he's an interesting bloke, Greg Nichols, a former footballer and a hotel manager, and done lots of things in your life, but is racing the thing that you love most?
It's the passion. It's the second most important thing after family, of course, Tim,
sure.
But it's a joy to wake up every day and know that you're going to go along to a venue, a workplace where you can make a difference, and the VRC inspires you to do that. So I'm very fortunate, and I just thank myself, or thank the lucky stars every day that I'm able to do it.
Yeah, it's a good job.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
Great to talk to you. Greg Nichols, the General Manager of Racing Victoria. We'll take a break, and the Derby is only, less than 10 minutes away. Part of the good crowd in for Amy Victoria Derby Day of 1999. We need to go racing. Here's Peter and Jenny.
Thank you, Tim. And Richard Friedman, that was him that you heard just speaking away there where he shouldn't be, but he always does. And he's in the mounting yard. Isn't it a great scene before the Derby here?
It's a lot of fun, I've got to say. You should have told me we were coming back.
Well, we're coming back.
Thanks for that.
And we're going to have a look at the horses prior to the running of the big one, the Amy Victoria Derby. Tremendous throng of people in the mounting yard here, Jen. A lot of them looking at this fellow, Shogun Lodge, to be ridden by Shane Dye. And Tim Gossage has been saying throughout his reports that the bookmakers, they might be taking on Shogun Lodge, but they're also taking on Shane Dye, apparently.
Well, they are, but Peter, this horse I think is the best miler without a doubt in this race. Whether or not he'll stay, that's just the only little query about him. But look, he's so honest and he's so good, he's got to run a very good race here as well.
I thought he got on the wrong leg at Caulfield coming around a turn. I thought his effort was really good to keep on whacking away there. Freemason number 2 was in that race. Rich, can it be back-to-back derbies for trainer John Hawkes? Darren Gauci, the rider.
Well, it's possible. I think the son of Grand Lodge here is a good, strong stayer. 2 Dow performances at his last 2 starts. He's ground home well. So at the end of the race, when the whip's cracking, it wouldn't surprise me to see Freemason starting to wear him down.
Coming to the end of what has been an illustrious career is trainer George Hanlon. He's won the Melbourne Cup 3 times. He's never won the Victoria Derby, though. He might do it today with Diatribe, and Greg Hall is a man in form, Jen.
He is, and have a look how nicely behaved Diatribe is here. Nothing worrying him at all. And his form is very, very good going into this. That crossover noseband, there's no sign of it being on today. As I said before, he did do a lot wrong with that at Caulfield, and a terrific effort there at Moonee Valley. He's going to be extremely hard to beat here.
Number 4 is Blackfriars, and Greg Childs is the rider here for Peter Hayes. And wouldn't it be a remarkable story if this were to win too, because Colin Hayes has won derbies, David Hayes has won the derby, maybe Peter Hayes might win it too.
It's a bit of a family tradition, isn't it? Blackfriars, this preparation, he's only had the 4 starts. He's had 3 wins from the 4 starts. He's only put in 1 bad run. That was on a slow track at Moonee Valley. He has done nothing wrong, and he deserves to be the favourite on his performances up to today.
Number 5 is Troubadour. Michael Barlow is the rider here. Rick Hall-Lacey, the trainer, and you can see it has drifted out $3.40. $45.90 is a big price on the tape, Jen.
Michael Barlow just rode this horse perfectly in the Geelong Derby trial, gave him every possible chance, and he scored a narrow victory there. It's a bit tougher here today for him, and I'd be prepared to risk him in this race.
Number 6 is Chief Scout, the rider here, Chris Muntz, and the trainer, of course, is Gay Waterhouse, the only lady trainer, Rich, ever to have won the Derby. She won it 4 years ago with nothing like a dame.
And Gay is a great trainer too, and she knows how to get one ready for this race. Chief Scout, another son of Chief's Crown. They get good stayers. We actually trained the mother, Lou Babaloo, very fast, never got to the racetrack. The last 4 starts have been perfect form. They've been consistent. He runs on the pace. Tell you what, you'll be in it for a long time.
The last jockey to win the Derby back-to-back was Roy Higgins back in 1972 and 1973. Larry Cassidy's trying to do that today aboard Royal Integrity. It's been a bit of a drifter on Super Tab, out $9.60 to almost $60, Jen.
His form leading into this race, Peter, leaves a little bit to be desired. I thought it was a fairly battling effort there in the Amy Bars, and he's a very one-paced type of horse. He did put in one-paced effort there in the Champion Stakes as well, so at very best a place chance for him.
Number 8, Liberty Hall, one of Bart Cummings' 3 runners in the race. Damien Oliver, the rider, and he's been pretty consistent too.
Well, like all the Zabeels, he'll appreciate the long distance. Last run, 5th in the Norman Robinson, is a horse on the rise. I think he might be a better horse in the autumn, but I tell you what, he's not without a chance.
Second of Bart's 3 runners, number 9, Cloth of Gold, Jimmy Cassidy, the rider, and was running home nicely at Moonee Valley. Jennifer?
He was, and he was wide most of the way there too. He got to the line well. He's a horse that has steadily kept on improving, particularly since his maiden win at Ballarat 4 starts back. I think he can run into the race. He should be running on it at the end, and proven jockey, proven trainer, good chance.
Proven trainer is John Sadler. He saddles up Chiming Door. Jason Patton is the rider, and we wish a good mate of ours in Simon O'Donnell the best part owner of this.
Yes, we do. A good combination of guys there. This is still a maiden Chiming Door. Hard for maidens to win, but it's not impossible. It has happened. I remember Fire Oak doing it. 4th at Moonee Valley behind Diatribe at his last start. Was a good run. Probably not quite up to beating these.
And there is Chiming Door going to the gates. The one behind him is Tarry Armour, number 11. Danny Nikolic is the rider. Bevan Lamming is the trainer. And this horse has won 2 from 13, but another one at big odds.
Well, he got back in the Derby trial to second last, and he got a very nice run through the field. And I thought he probably had every chance to win, but he did run 3rd there. And the start before at Mornington, he did have every chance. So a very rough place chance in this.
Rich, if there is going to be an upset, number 12, Campamanes, might be the one to provide it. Mick Dittman rides for Bart Cummings, the 3rd of his 3 runners. I thought his run in the Derby trial was a beauty.
Well, what a great combination of jockey and trainer there. Mick Dittman and Bart Cummings. Campamanes was a good thing beaten in the Geelong Derby trial, so you only have to lift on that form to be in the race. It's a difficult task from barrier 16, though.
We've already spoken to Frankie Dettori about his ride, Unlimiting. Look at that, Frankie Dettori going out on a horse that's showing $101. That's probably a true reflection.
I think it is a true reflection too. Really, Unlimiting's form has been quite average since coming over here to Melbourne. A bit wide at Flemington, but an ordinary run there, and back at Caulfield, and just never ever got into the race. So no, don't like his chances.
Happy Festival is pretty much in the same boat, Rich. It's going to be at long odds. Stephen Baster, the rider for Jim Mason at Mornington.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Peter. Can't have him on the form.
Duty officer number 15, Corey Brown, is the rider. Bill Mitchell, the trainer.
Well, at Cranbourne 2 starts ago, he came from last and won a fairly ordinary type of Class 1 event there. I thought he was disappointing at Geelong, and I don't think he's good enough here.
And the bottom one, number 16, Rock of Ages, in the colours that Second Coming carried to victory here 2 years ago in the Amy Victoria Derby.
Well, the winner of a Class 1 on a slow track at Mornington, and that's his best performance. I don't think so.
And that's indicated by the tote price, $173. Well, let's find out Jen and Richard's selections. Ladies first. Jennifer?
All right, I'm going with number 3, Diatribe, to win the Derby, from number 4, Blackfriars, and number 6, Chief Scout.
I'm with you, Jen. I'm going for Diatribe, number 3, to beat Shogun Lodge. I reckon he will run the trip out, and Liberty Hall for 3rd. If I had to have an outsider, I'd put in Cloth of Gold.
And I've gone for Shogun Lodge, number 1, to beat 3, Diatribe, and 4, Blackfriars. Outsider is number 12, Campamanes. Dan, let's take us through the tote figures and the pool getting up to $1.7 million.
Well, numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4 are all very solid in the market, holding the place, if not firming up. Chief Scout, number 6, out a little bit. Liberty Hall and Cloth of Gold, the Bart Cummings pair. He also has Campamanes engaged, but they're both in the market, 8 and 9. Campamanes at $30 is the best chance, according to punters, on page 2 from numbers 10 to 16. That's a look at the tote, now in the betting ring with Tim Gossage.
Thanks very much, Dan. Well, it took a while, but they've finally come for one, and it is Shane Dyer's mount, Shogun Lodge. Bookmakers just stood and stood and stood, and now everyone wants to be on Shogun Lodge, and it is the Derby favourite. Number 1, Shogun Lodge, with Shane Dyer aboard. Can he break that run of placings today? The only other 2 in the market are Diatribe and Blackfriars, but it is favourite Shogun Lodge just ahead of Blackfriars, and each way odds Diatribe in the Derby.
And what an exciting start it is right here in front of the grandstands at the 200-metre mark, a big field. They'll be looking for positions in the run down to the first turn. Shane Dye, don't forget, has barrier number 1 next to the rail on Shogun Lodge. And look at this massive crowd looking on, many of them congregating around the starting point at the 200-metre mark. And we've got probably 60,000 people and more here at Flemington today for the first day of the Melbourne Cup Carnival of 1999. And appropriately, just before the big race, the sun comes out. We've had a few spots of rain, nothing too much to worry about today. It has turned into a delightful afternoon now. And it's time for the national anthem, always one of the great moments in sport. And here are Claire Woodley and the Australian Youth Choir.
Australians
Wonderful rendition of the national anthem by Claire Woodley and the Australian Youth Choir. Roy Higgins has joined me now, and doesn't that make the hairs on the back of the neck stand up?
Say that again. Having been out there where the boys are now and having won this great race on 4 occasions, it certainly does make your hair stand up, Pete. My thoughts on the race, I must say, from the yard, I did like the look of the 4 Blackfriars. Oh, gee, he's trained beautifully for this race. He looks to have just peaked at the Perth time. I was talking to Peter Hayes' brother David now in Hong Kong, and he was just outlandish with his praise for David, the way he's turning this horse. He said he looks spot on, which he does. Number 3, Diatribe. This horse has got on good since winning the AAMI Vars at the Valley. All he's got to do is settle. He'll be hard to beat, this horse. He was nice and relaxed. He can hype up a bit, but he was nice and relaxed down the back today. Certainly the top is Shogun. Shane Dye, barrier 1, he should be able to settle about midfield on him and give him a good ride. And number 2, Freemason. This guy's done well since his good third recently at Caulfield. He looked excellent in the yard. So I stayed around the top ones in the race. I went in this order: 4, 3, 1 and 2.
Roy Higgins, courtesy of Sport 927. Tim Gossage with a late update in the betting ring.
Still more money for Shogun Lodge, Peter. It is the favourite, Shogun Lodge, and specking at each way odds for number 9, Cloth of Gold.
There's the scene as these horses fill the stalls. There's Tim Gossage in the betting ring, and here's Johnny Letts out behind the gates with the runners prior to the Amy Victoria Derby.
Yes, Pete, Shogun Lodge looked very well. Gee, the Cummings horse has settled down nicely. Liberty Hall. Diatribe, I just put him up to the gates with Greg Hall on. He's a little bit fired up before the race and has worried Greg a little bit. Blackfriars got a bit of a scare here early when the crowd roared, and he took off with Greg Childs, but in the race I think he'll settle down pretty well. But looking at them, I'd say Blackfriars looks very well. I've put him on top. I know I've tipped Liberty Halls, but gee, Blackfriars looks nice and relaxed from Liberty Halls and Diatribe.
John Letts behind the stalls in front of this massive crowd at Flemington to witness this wonderful race, which is 6 years older even than the famous Melbourne Cup. It was run first in 1855, and the very first Victoria Derby was won by a filly, and that was Rose of May. But the last filly to win was way back in 1923, Francis Tressady. That won't happen today because they're all colts and geldings. And in fact, for a 25-year period, geldings weren't permitted to run in the Derby, but that all changed after 1956. And some of the horses that have been runner-up in this great race in the 90s: Naturalism, Octagonal, Tie the Knot, Sky Heights. Amongst the names that have won it, the biggest 2 names in the Australian turf, Farlap and Tulloch. Another name is about to be added to the honour roll. Gary Willits and Dan Malicki in the commentary box.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Well, gee, they all look beautiful, as they should. Shogun Lodge looks absolutely superb going out, and Shane Dye should get a beautiful run on him. Drawing 1, I reckon you say 4 or 5 lengths going round.